Heavenly sunlight, heavenly sunlight.
Hello, everyone. Clifton here at the Music Vault Studio. And first of all, just let me thank you for checking out the Music Vault session videos. And basically, these are just videos that I'm just trying to share with you some things that I've done over the years while working in Pro Tools and recording a cappella music that has been successful for me. And hopefully, they will be successful for you also. Now we're going to dive right in because I know your time is valuable and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But today we're going to talk about two things that I think is the most important things that you would need to know when recording any genre of music, whether it be a cappella music or any genre of music. These are the most two important things. One is EQ and the other is compression. Those two things will help you produce quality tracks if you understand them. And so we're going to talk about those things real quick and just touch on it briefly. And I'm sure other videos will go into more detail as far as once we start looking at sessions that's actually been recorded and those plugins are actually being used. We can kind of go into more detail and you can actually see the plugins work and see what they do as far as producing quality music, how they help produce quality music whenever you're recording. But right now, let's just go into it. We're going to open up another track. Now you can always go here to track new, and then this right here you can click on, and then just hit create, and boom, you'll have a new track. But I'm a fan of the shortcut keys, and so if you look here, it'll tell you Shift, Command, and N is the shortcut key. And so once you hit Shift, Command, N, it'll bring up another track, and there you go. Now, why is that important? Well, basically, once you start recording and people start hearing your recordings and they like what they hear, they're going to want to hire you as their engineer. They're going to want to hire you because of your ear and your experience and what you can bring to the table. And time is money. So if you're in a session and you got the singer there and they're all ready to go and you're having to look and search and go up here and click all the time, that's just taking up a lot of their time and a lot of your time. I mean, it's a lot of time wasted. Now, I'm not telling you not to do it if you just have to, but what I am encouraging you to do is learn your shortcut command keys. That way, when they're ready, you're ready. If they've sung 30 tracks and you need another track, you can just hit your shortcut key, get another track real quick, and say, let's go. You want to keep them in the mood while they're singing. But anyway, that's just a side commercial. Back to compression and EQ. A lot of times what we do is we'll pick a track and then we'll sing and record on that track. Once we're finished recording that track, we'll go back and we'll throw a compressor on there. And this is the DigiRack compressor that comes free with Pro Tools. We'll throw this compressor on there, and we'll throw an EQ on there. And if you don't truly understand what this does, then how can you really be effective in using it? I remember when I first started recording, I would use compression. At first, I never used compression because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know we had to use it, or that it would be good to use it. And then when I started using it, I didn't even know exactly what it did. Basically, in the simple way to explain a compressor is it basically is control of the singer's dynamic range. That's basically what it does. So it basically brings the soft parts of the vocal up and brings the loud parts of the vocal down, and it gives it a balance, a better balance. And in later we may get into ratio and knee and things like that. Well, we'll just touch on a little bit now. The threshold is basically tells where the compression is going to start kicking in. So like here, negative 24, nothing is compressed until it hits that orange line here, which is the threshold. Once it hits that line, everything past that line starts getting compressed, starts getting brought brought down a little bit, or crunched down, or compressed down. Okay. This right here is your ratio, and this kind of sets the levels as after the threshold where, how much it needs to be compressed. And if you see when I move it, you see how this line here, watch that line here as I move this. See how it goes up and down? I'm telling it how much compression I want to put on. I need a 6 to 1 or 4 to 1 or whatever the case may be. In vocals, a good ratio setting is 4 to 1 all the way up to 6 to 1. So anywhere from 4 to 1 to 6 to 1, I would recommend using that for vocal recordings. The knee kind of tells it how hard the compressor needs to hit. Does it need to snap it down, or does it need to kind of smooth it out to where you can hardly tell it's being compressed? Messing with the knee is good sometimes. It just depends on your settings. But as you see, as I move the setting, it kind of rounds out that threshold area right above that threshold, kind of rounds it out to kind of smooth it out, to say I want a smooth ride kind of going into compression right there. And as I bring it down, it kind of buckles it a little bit to where it's a little harder. As soon as it hits, it kind of draws down, kind of compresses down as soon as it hits. The attack and the release, basically the attack, it tells the compressor how fast to grab whatever comes after this threshold. So if the attack is like 1 second, then basically 1 second after it passes negative 24 decibels, this threshold here, 1 second after that, it's going to grab whatever sound is after that in 1 second and compress it. It's going to work real fast. The release actually tells how fast it needs to let go of the compression. So basically, once it grabs it in 1 second, it'll hold on to it. If it's a slow release, it'll hold on to it. Or if it's a fast release, it will release it real quick. Grab it and release it. And then the gain is your makeup gain. Because anytime you compress a sound, it actually does compress the dynamic range. It compresses that sound. It kind of softens it, or lowers it is a better word. It kind of lowers the sound. And so this is the makeup gain. You can make up for it. And as you see, that line is going up. And it'll make up for the gain that you have, the sound that you have compressed. So that's basically a compressor. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? If you have a dynamic singer, a great singer, but they're all over the place as far as dynamic range, they're soft here, and then they burst out with a loud yell, and then they soft on another part, and then they burst out again with a loud yell. Their dynamic range is up and down, up and down. And basically the compressor, what it does is it kind of helps balance that dynamic range of the vocals, and it brings their soft parts kind of up, and it brings the loud parts down. And it also helps with your peaks on the voice. If you got a real high soprano singing, and sometimes they might get a little pitchy. Once you throw a compressor on there, it kind of helps that peak, that high sound, and kind of smooths it out and kind of compresses it a little bit. It makes it a little more pleasant to the ear to listen to. So compression is very important, and as you learn, I encourage you to Google and read and research and learn how to use these knobs and how to use a compressor to your advantage. It will help you in the long run. It doesn't mean that you will never have to automate vocals, and we'll go into what automation is later in other videos. It doesn't mean that you'll never have to do that, but it will help a lot, kind of balance out the dynamic range of the vocal. So that's the Digirac compressor. Pro Tools also comes with another free compressor, which is the Bomb Factory compressor here. Bomb Factory, the BF76. Really, really like this compressor. Um, it does the same thing. This compressor, as you train your ear to hear certain things, different compressors sound different. And if you're a person like me who does everything in the box, I mix in the box. I have no outboard gear. I have no outboard compression. I have no outboard preamps, nothing. I go straight in through my recording audio interface, which is the Digio 3 rack, straight into Pro Tools. And everything else comes within the program. My compressors, everything I use within the program. So I'm a in the box mixer. And if you're in the box, then you'll train your ear to hear different the way different plugins sound. This plugin right here is a great compressor. It's a lot warmer uh, than the uh, than the Digirac that we just saw. This one, it's a lot warmer than this one. This one is very, very nice. Very, very nice. I use this compressor a lot of times on my bass vocals because it is warm and it's full. But it does the same thing as the Digirac. It's got the same concept. Compress. This is your input. This is your output. So this is your makeup gain. And this is how much you want to compress on the vocal. And then you have your attack, how fast you want it to catch it, and your release, how fast you want to release it, or how slow you want to release it. And then here's your ratio, 4, 8, 12, and 20, and your meter that will read as you sing. Same thing here. Ratio, attack, gain, release, threshold, and knee. All of that is the same here. Very nice. This is a good compressor, and it's a little simpler. If you don't understand this and how to work it and use it, this one is a little more simple because there's just a couple of knobs here. Okay, so that's compression. So it's very important, very, very, very important for you to understand compression as it relates to recording acapella vocals. Now, equalization, EQ, is the next most important plugin as it comes to recording acapella music. This is the Digirac 7-band EQ that comes in Pro Tools. Very nice. I use it on everything. I have some other few plugins, but this is the one that I run to. Now, what is EQ? EQ is basically equalization. It's basically frequency ranges. I don't know what that is. Frequency ranges. So basically, what it does is it's going to give you a certain frequency of the voice. Let's say you have a nice tenor who has a lot of mid-range in his voice. Well, you may need to cut that range out because it's muddying up your track, and you might need to boost his highs to smooth out his vocal. And that's all, and that will come all through equalization. Okay, this is boosting. Let me show you. This is boosting a frequency. This is cutting a frequency. Okay, so fairly simple. Boosting, cutting. Okay, now there's another thing that I like to use when it comes to equalization, and that is a high pass filter, which is this little, if you look right here, it's a little line with a slope, kind of slopes down. And if you put that in, it'll be something like this. You'll kind of roll off anything, we're saying anything 152 kilohertz and back, we're rolling off. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, when you record, the voice you anything that's about 140 kilohertz and back, it's not even part of your vocal. Basically, what that is your room. If you're recording in a home studio like myself, um, that's your ambience pretty much of your room. So that's ambience noise, that's the floor noise, that's everything that's going on in the room. That is what that is. So anything below 140 kilohertz, you're removing from your vocal. That's basically what you're saying, which is, you don't really need that anyway. I love the high pass filter because what it does is it actually kind of carves out a frequency for your voice. It puts everything in its own place. When you listen to vocal recordings or acapella recordings, and it's like, man, you can hear everything. Well, a lot of times a high pass filter is put on those vocals to where it sets it in its own place in the mix. So that way you can hear everything, and it actually cleans up your mix a lot. It cleans up your mix a whole lot. So basically, when you're looking for the magic spot, what I like to call it in vocals, that spot, that frequency that makes that vocal pop, makes that vocal stand out. When you're looking for that, I like to do what is called sweeping the frequencies. So I'll boost that vocal frequency up, and then I'll go across the frequencies just like this to find, excuse me, to find the perfect spot, the sweet spot that vocal sits in. Once I find that spot, I'll bring it down, and then I will boost again to my liking to make sure it's really nice and sweet. And what I am saying is that around 7 kilohertz, this vocal sounds really, really good. And so I'm wanting to emphasize that by boosting. Okay? Or I can say, I can boost this frequency. And I'm sweeping it to listen to the vocal. And right there, I can say around 780 kilohertz, that vocal is real muddy and sounds bad. So I'm going to cut some of that out. I'm going to take some of that out. And so that's basically what you're doing. You're listening for the bad stuff, you're taking it out, and for the good stuff, you're kind of emphasizing it. Now you'll get your own rhythm as far as how you EQ your vocals. Sometimes I'll go through and I will remove EQs and frequencies. I will remove frequencies before ever doing anything to just take out all the bad stuff. So it'll look something like this, and then it may look something like this. I'm cutting that out. Maybe a little bit of this. And then around here it sounds pretty good. That sounds okay, but I'm going to take a little bit of that out. And you're just kind of going through and you're using your ear. Equalization trains your ear to listen. And what you start doing is you'll start mixing more so with with what you hear versus what you see. And you'll understand this as we go along, but sometimes you'll see something and it looks pretty. Oh, that's nice. And you think it sounds nice. But what you're going to start doing is you're going to start trusting your ear. And that's basically what equalization will do. Excuse me. It would help you trust what you're hearing. If it sounds bad, it is bad. No matter what the frequency wave looks like, if it sounds bad, it is bad. If it sounds good, it is good. So equalization helps you train your ear. But basically all it is frequencies. What your voice uses and what your voice goes through as you're singing and hits all these different frequencies. You want to emphasize the good and take out the bad. And we'll kind of go through, this is your low frequencies, your low mid frequencies, your mid frequencies, your high mid frequencies, and your high frequencies. Okay, so basically, soprano, I wouldn't have to boost so much on a soprano because this is her high frequency right here. It'll make her sound real thin and it'll hurt your ears. So I don't need a boost on a soprano. I might need to take out a little of the low end just to clean it up a little bit. But I may not have to do a lot on a soprano. But a bass or a tenor, let's say a tenor, that has a lot of mid range in his voice, then I may need to look here and here, my low mid frequencies and my mid frequencies, because it's a little muddy. So I may be cutting some of that out just to clean up his vocal a little bit. And he may not have a lot of high in his voice, so I may be boosting a little bit here just to make him sound real clean and crisp and real nice, smooth tenor. So you'll learn as we go through, and as you record more and more, you'll understand frequencies and you'll understand how to make this work for you. If you can understand those two plugins, I guarantee you, if you can master those two plugins, the EQ and compression, I guarantee you can make quality recordings. That's the first step. That's the first step. Well, one of the first steps. You have to have a good recording too. And we can go into that a little later, but I just wanted to touch on these two plugins. These are the two most important plugins in the whole Pro Tools software setup. EQ and compression. You master those and you will make quality music. Again, this is Clifton Boyd of the Music Vault Studio. Thank you for tuning in to the Music Vault sessions. As I always say, continue to make great music, and I will talk to you next time.